welcome back to the Sisters Talk podcast. I'm your host, Danny M, and today I have very special guest, Miss Irtashia Horn. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to get
So
into
am
this
I.
topic.
It's Tuesday, but it feels like Friday to me. I don't know about you guys that's watching. I don't know
It
about you.
feels like last Saturday. I feel like I've skipped Sunday, Monday. I feel like I didn't like sleep or did something.
I'm worn out because sometimes I have trainings in the mornings and it goes on longer than 2 or 3 hours, and I'm in there all day, no water, no break. But anyways,
Oh yeah, no.
you know how it goes.
Hmm.
So today we're going to be talking about absent fathers. Very, very hot season topic. We talk about it a lot, but we're going to tell it like it is today. It is a very serious topic. Shout out to Titan. He said, "Yo, Tay and Danny."
Hey, Titan.
Yes. So we're gonna be talking about absent fathers. Both sides can relate, females and males. And while we're talking about female, make sure you check out my book on Amazon called Female Minority Report. It's streaming below.
Look, we're both like
Yeah,
get
copy your
it
copies.
now.
Before the holidays come around. I'm just telling my version of corporate America as an African American woman. But let's carry on. Let's get to the topic. Let's talk about the good stuff. I don't know how good this is though, actually. Um,
Yeah, I don't know how good if people
yeah,
are gonna like be like, I hate y'all for talking about this, or if it's gonna be like a thank y'all for bringing this up type situation.
right. It
So,
depends on how we sway the conversation because I mean, it's so many angles we can take with this. Um,
yes,
we see the product of a lot of people who do not have a mother or father in their life. But right now, we're talking about absent dads, and to me, a father is the foundation of the family.
I
Like
agree.
he's the root. He's the roots, right?
Yes.
And the mama, she might be the fruit, or the kids are the fruit, and maybe the mama's the
Yeah,
branch.
the branch, some of the water or some the root. But
That's
yeah,
some of the water.
there we go. It's somewhere that we're somewhere down the line where we
Hmm.
can that we step in and assist at that point.
And the kids are like the hanging fruit, right? They're like the product of what whomever like is watering that tree, and hopefully it's the mom and the dad, and the kids come out the way they're supposed to. But then sometimes you have the father in the home, and the kids still come out
Yeah.
not doing what they need to do in life, or maybe they're not great parents either. So I guess it just depends on the person, the child that you're raising. But let's talk about the men. So you normally I would take the approach of like, oh, in African American homes versus Anglo Saxons, but we can't really do that in 2022 because there's a lot of fathers that are leaving their families. Have you
Yes.
noticed it?
Yes. It's so many like single moms. I think like when you check like the hashtag of like single mom or single parent, like you're in the billions of seeing this. And it's insane. But it's almost as if they have made it into this cool thing. And I say that on the good side for the mom because for so long single moms had this stigma that they weren't good enough, that the men had to throw them away, that they were just, you know, not worthy enough, and that single moms were supposed to be like the last pick to get to be married, to get, to have a man to love them and things like that and accept their children. But now just seeing so many like badass moms out there doing it, like that gives me so much like power and just strength to like keep going. And people always ask me like, what is it? I'm like, it's God and it's other people in this world, other women in this world who you have no choice but to do it. We might not have chose this, but we damn sure gonna ride it out and see what we can get
I
with
know
it.
that's right. No, that's a very good stance, but it could be this too.
Yes. It's always the girl. And of
Let's
course,
just
what
be
does the mom
honest.
say?
Sometimes we don't act right. Like sometimes we get a good dude and we really run over him sometimes. Like sometimes, I'm not saying all the time. Sometimes we run over him, we take advantage. And so that may be some of the reasons why some of these guys are leaving. Everybody's not gonna put up with BS. And I don't blame them, right?
That is true. You do not have to deal with it, and sorry to say, but sometimes if somebody isn't coming in with a lot of baggage and you know you don't have no baggage, or you see somebody with baggage and you ain't got that much baggage, it's kind of like, do I really want to accept all of that? You know,
Right.
it goes a
That's
lot goes
why it's
into it.
important to communicate in the beginning, right? When you're dating somebody, especially like for instance, if they have kids or if they have a lot of debt, because it's equivalent.
Yeah.
Kids cost money. So if you
Yes,
don't want to deal with something like that, don't even get involved, right? Don't start building a family because that's even more money that you're gonna have to come out of pocket on at a later time. But let's talk about some of these stats. So let's just talk about America, right? So
yes,
America right now, it's like approximately 18.3 million children who live without a father in their home. That's like one in every four kids in the US. Doesn't matter about race, doesn't matter about religion. One in four kids do not have a father in the home. And it's not because they all ran away. I mean, in some cases, some of the fathers passed away. Some of the fathers are locked up. Um, yeah, maybe they were illegal aliens to begin with.
yeah.
So many different situations. But to say 18.3 million kids, there's only 300 million people in this country. And
That
18.3 of them
is
or those children are fatherless, which is crazy.
that is crazy. That's insane.
That's a lot of kids, a lot of fatherless kids right there. So let's see here. It says the United States has the highest rate of children living in single parent households of any nation in the world.
That speaks a lot. That speaks volumes. What
Big.
is it that they're doing that we're not doing?
Well, I can tell you what we're doing that they're not doing. Like over here, we have a lot of money. We might be kind of in a recession right now, but
Yeah.
for the most part, we have extra money to spend on whatever we want. And in a lot of cases, what I've noticed, especially for females, like a lot of us don't tolerate a lot of BS. So if
Yes.
we're with a guy who can't make the amount of money that we're making or more, or if he's a cheater or whatever his downfall is, if we're making more money, 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, we are out. Like Shark Tank. Like we're not even playing games with him. And I think that's like not even regarding the child's emotions, which we should consider, but a lot of us won't because we just don't have the tolerance for it.
That is true. That's true. And then when you think about it, like and this is things that I found out from friends for sure. So they meet a guy, he's taking care of his kids and he's on child support, he's making sure everything is needed, but his leftover amounts don't raise up to what they're used to. So instead of saying, okay, he's taking care of his kids, he's positive, he's goal oriented, he's a great provider, he's a great father, but the majority of his money goes to child support or to take care of his
Right.
kids. And it's almost like, oh, well, he's not good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and leave him and go over here to somebody else
Right.
whom you may not even realize this person is a horrible father. They spend all their money on materialistic things. There's no savings, there's no goal in mind. And sometimes, as women, we can overlook certain things. And I've seen personally that aspect of it, and seeing that women will overlook men who are literally, like, legitimately taking care of their kids. So because they're not making an extra amount of money to
Mhm.
get with that surplus or that minus that they're making, then they're just like, "Oh, I don't want to deal with it."
Yeah. I've seen that too. It's crazy though, because you think about it. At one point in time, society they valued a man and woman coming together, uniting, getting married, having kids. And nowadays, that's out of the window. Like a lot of times, it's not even man and woman; it's woman and woman, or man and man, or it's just a single parent altogether. And there's nothing wrong with single parenting at all. It can be done, but I don't think we think about how it affects the children in the long run mentally, right?
Yes.
Confidence wise, especially if you have athletic children, they want their parents to be there to see them at these games, to root them on. They need that support from both sides because if I'm just living with my mom, I'm only getting that feminine energy and that feminine discipline, as opposed to if my father was in the household, whatever he say goes type of energy. I'm getting that masculine side, and I'm understanding how to balance my emotions in society. I'm understanding how to balance my emotions around other people from both sides, both male and female. I think, kids learn so much from their parents. And sometimes I'm not gonna say they lack anything when they have a single parent, but I do feel like even for the single parent, him or herself, they're probably feeling like I'm not giving all that I can give to my child because I'm only one person.
Right. I completely agree because having a 13-year-old, being at his games, and he's played soccer, football, basketball since the age of 3 in all three. And it's like we only get a 1 month vacation. So I was happy when COVID hit because I was just like, thank you, God. After at that
You get
time,
a
it was like
break.
9 years, girl, of constant games. And I'm like, Jesus, we gotta give me a break. But
Mhm.
I would always be me and my mom. My dad is my parents are still married, so my dad is very present in Carter's life. But it is definitely something as a mom when you have your child look in the stands for you and they're so excited and they're so happy to see you saw them make that play, or he made that tackle, or he was just getting out into the game, or they get hurt, and there was times he had to look up in the stands and he wanted his dad, and even for football practice, like, girl, I was out there, me and my mom. My dad would work a little bit later so he wouldn't be able to come, but me and my mom, like, we would be the only females out there
Mhm.
doing the participation with him. And what's so crazy is that my parents took time when he was 4.5 years old. It was his second year playing flag. My mom stepped up. She knew his dad. He wanted his dad to be there, and his dad wasn't as present in his life. And so my mom actually became the football coach, and so was
Wow.
my dad. And they won, y'all. They won 2014. They won the whole championship for Grand
Wow.
Prairie. So, and she was the first woman coach to ever do that in Grand Prairie. So it was so
That's a
inspiring.
huge accomplishment, man. Like that's
Yes.
crazy.
And it takes a village, but
Yes.
like you say, it affects the kid. Like, I can do, and as a single parent, we make the mistake of trying to fill a void that we could never feel. And it's
Right.
so hard for
That.
us to understand it because I didn't come from a broken home. And, I've had my dad in my life my entire life. They'll be married 38 years this month.
Wow.
And so, it's so weird. And I think my parents, their
Mhm.
parents was married and so on and so on. So, like, my parents are just like, what do you mean, single mom? What do you mean he can't show up? What do you mean he can't provide this? And I'm just like, he's grown. I can't force him to do it.
Right.
But they were just so unequivocally, like, announced, like, to be into that, like, to even see that. And it was just like, well, why isn't this person wanting to be present? Like, who would not want to see their offspring to thrive in this world? And
Exactly.
so it definitely affects, no matter how much we try to give our kids, when
Mhm.
that other parent is missing, it definitely can be hard on them.
Oh, absolutely. Which is a great segue into what I was gonna say next. you know, I was going to ask this question. How can, especially for the fathers that are watching this show or podcast, how can you be absent out of your child's life? I mean, granted, there will be multiple answers to that question. It could be that you and the baby mama or the ex girlfriend, you don't get along or you don't see eye to eye anymore. But sometimes, a lot of times, especially as adults, you have to put all that to the side to make sure that your child has that not just financial support, but that emotional support, because what ends up happening a lot of times with children, when they don't have access to the other parent, they feel like that other parent doesn't love them anymore. And we know as an adults that's not the case. We know that's not true. But that child doesn't understand that, and they're not at an age to understand or rationalize that my mom or my father, they work a lot. By the time they get off, the other parent doesn't want to deal with them and doesn't want them to have access not only to you as the child, but also their household, period. You know what I mean? There's boundaries. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of different factors that come into play. But one thing's for sure, especially fathers out there that are watching the show tonight, you have to understand that when you're not in your child's life, a lot of those children think that you don't care about them. And that creates a lot of mental issues later on down the line, a lot of low self esteem, abandonment issues. Sometimes they have like social withdrawal issues where, they can't be around people. Sometimes depression. And again, I'm not a clinical therapist or nurse or doctor. I'm just saying based on the stats,
Yeah.
it's you can Google search this information. It's out there, and other harmful risks are out there as well as a result of not having or feeling like they don't have that support from their fathers. Fathers, you guys are powerful, not only in the children's lives, but even in that ex girlfriend or ex wife's life. We need you even after you're gone. That's the part that they don't understand too. Your support is everything in that child's life.
Yes, I agree. Because and I don't think kids definitely don't do it intentionally. But when you think about it, in between you and your husband, it's like, you can show up to 50, 11 games, but dad comes to one, and it's like that's the only game they remember.
Yep.
And you're like, hey, I was at this game and this game. I saw when you did this and this. And it's just like something about dads is just like they need it. It's like an approval, like a validity even for them, in their lives and in their heart. And so, like you said, I think sometimes people have to learn how to co-parent, but it comes with the maturity level, and I've seen it both sides, like from Carter father not being as present, and then being able to see someone like maybe my brother who did everything right and perfect, and he still isn't able to see his child as much as he would like to. And like you said, sometimes people are bitter. Sometimes
Yeah.
those adult feelings carry over into our children, and that's where the toxic part comes in, and it sucks. It
It's
definitely
so
sucks.
funny. You just said something that I read about today, and I thought it was hilarious. I read it on Facebook. They said the baby mamas that ain't crap, right? Y'all have the best baby daddies in the world, but the baby daddies that have that are a mess, that don't have their stuff together. Baby mama's cool. Let you come see the kids whenever you want. They don't give you any tension. Like you can come and go. But the
Yeah,
ones, the baby daddies, they do everything under the sun. Make sure that everything's paid for, child support, extra clothes, shoes, whatever, field trips paid for. The mamas act crazy. I don't. And then you just confirmed that post that I read, and I thought it was hilarious because it does seem that way.
it does. And I'm like that parent. I literally hated the whole like baby mama, baby daddy stigma. I'm always just like, yeah, my child's father. I don't know why, I just hate it, but sometimes it's
Because
not
it's
for me.
ghetto.
It does sound ghetto, right? Girl,
It
be like, oh
is
no,
ghetto, but
we're above that. We're not gonna go down that way. But it's like I don't even. It's not the monetary aspect for me. It's doesn't even isn't even equivalent to like just the physical and mental like feelings that he feels. And I've been the parent to say, you know what? I'll pay for dinner. I've paid for lunch. I've attempted to meet up and allow them that time, and I'm just like, hey, here it is. And I said, like no money is needed.
right,
We don't even want you to take care of anything. He just wants to be around. He wants to be heard. He wants to be seen. And I think for me, that's the most frustrating part
of
is
course.
because, we're not asking for anything, but just your presence.
And then it's like, as a man, how does that make you feel that your ex lady is doing all of this, like putting it out on the silver platter for you? You, as the guy, should have enough dignity and integrity within yourself as the father to want to do that all on your own. Because after all, that's the least that you can do at this point, right?
Right.
I mean, that's just my take on it. But getting back to the kids, so let me read some stats though. This is straight from AFPI's website. It stands for America First Policy. So they're giving you stats on how children are affected by not having their fathers in the household, present in the household. So overall, children from single parent families are twice as likely to suffer from mental health problems than those living with married parents. Now, I don't know if I agree with that. I know that's stats, but I know some people personally that grew up in a two-parent household that still suffer from the same thing, right? Because some
Yeah.
of this stuff is genetic, so you can't really blame it on like one parent being absent. I don't know how they did
Right.
their stats, but it also says research also suggests that high risk children in single parent homes have nearly 5 times greater a chance of developing mood disorders than those in dual parent households, even when controlling for household income, age, and depression status of parents. I don't know if I believe that either. It just depends on where they're collecting their data because you could have two parents that are just bad crap crazy, and in that case, you would have a lot of mood swings, and you would probably be mentally distable. I mean, what am I trying to say? Not disable. Let's say that. Mentally
Disgruntled, like
unstable. I sound
unstable.
like I'm mentally disabled. Lord forgive me. Please don't mute me, Mr. Zuckerberg, because I know you're gonna start Zuckerberging in a minute. I didn't mean it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, people always be like, you're a product of your environment. You're a product of your environment. I honestly don't believe that's true. And I say this because me and my brother grew up in a two-parent household. We both had kids out of wedlock. To be frank and honest, neither one of us are still married.
Hmm.
They have this perception of your parents have been married, they've been engaged, and they've been dating since they were 16. Great for them that they found the love of their life early. They worked it out. But
Right.
over here, honey, it's a little bit different standards
A
and
different generation too.
different
To be fair.
generation. Things have changed. The temptation is just in all forms.
Mhm.
And so I say that to say that sometimes if you ever notice, people are like, people who if they are in a single parent household, there's no way that they're going to automatically be a success story. I don't
Mhm.
believe that. You know why? Because sometimes um being in a two-parent household, it can actually shelter you.
Oh
Sometimes it
yeah.
can kind of make you be in this, oh, the world is perfect, it's rainbows, until you get into the real world and you're like, whoa, what is
Oh
this?
yes.
Like, this is the
You know
real
why I say that?
world.
That was me. I was
That
super
was
sheltered.
me. That was me. And going away to college, I was like, now it's like, what? Like, get my
Oh
heart
yeah.
broken. I was just like, oh my God, people do this. Like, I had the fairy tale in my head, and I hated it because it was just like,
And then
if
it
you
makes us
don't put
ultra nice
together
and ultra vulnerable and ultra stupid.
and naive, and
Yeah.
I don't know what, like, yes, the sky
Very,
is green. Thank you.
very naive.
Like,
Yes.
it's
I agree.
insane. And
I
I tell
agree.
myself, I'm like, I don't really believe like you're gonna be a better person in a two-parent household. This is what I do believe. I believe that sometimes when you're in a single parent household, because you see that one person working so hard, it makes that kid never want to have to struggle. It
Oh
makes
yeah.
them want to be better because they don't have that cushion. And in their
Mm-hmm.
brain, they're
Mm-hmm.
just like, I have to give something back. I have to
Right.
make something of myself. I don't want my mom's work or my dad's work to go in vain. So I feel like they work harder to get where they want to be at in life because there is no cushion, there is no safety net,
Yep.
at times, especially when there's multiple children in the home,
No,
and,
I agree.
and with it being a single parent household, for sure.
And then you know what? It opens up kids at an early age to a lot of stress sometimes.
Definitely.
It depends though, because sometimes you can have a two-parent household and the father's coming in drunk, abusive, whatever the case may be, right? So in that case, they're gonna be stressed out if you stay in that toxic relationship. But then on the other hand of that, if you're a single parent and you're constantly having to work and you hardly have any time for your children or your child, that can be stressful too because now that child isn't getting the love, the protection, the nourishment that he needs or she needs from that one parent. I mean, and it is just you. You know what I mean? Like I know I was a single parent for many many years before I got married, and I always felt like, okay, I want to make sure I'm giving her my all, and sometimes I will overcompensate because I'm
Yes.
just trying to make sure. And it's like, wait a minute, some of this she has to earn. We can't just be going on trips across the world. She was going to places that grown people hadn't been to yet. So let me slow down.
The
Let me take
entitlement.
a break.
Look, I am guilty of that. I am so guilty. Cause I'm just like, yeah, of course, you can have that. It's how much? Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Let me get my credit
Right.
out. And it's that void that we're trying to feel. And it's that
Mhm.
I always tell people I suffer from mom guilt. And some people, it is crazy because my friends who are married, they're just like, mom guilt, what's that? But my single friends who are moms, they get it. It's like, if we go on a girls trip, okay, I definitely got to take him on a trip. If I go buy this,
Right.
I definitely got to buy him something. If we go here, I got to make sure that I get him here, and
Mhm. Mhm.
it's almost like I'm not really competing with him, but I'm trying to make sure he
You're
doesn't
trying to share
lack
those
or feel
experiences so that he has the
it.
same thing that you're getting. But the
Yeah.
reality is they're still kids. So full stop, like I did too, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing too much. Like I'm overcompensating. And that's not my
Overcompensate.
job. It's the other
Mm-mm.
parent's job, right? So we have to give ourselves grace as mothers and allow that other side to do what they're supposed to do. And if they don't do it, well, that's a conversation that needs to be had between that child and their father. That's one thing I never
Absolutely.
cross those lines. I never blur those lines. That's none of my business. And I would advise other people to take that same approach because that father has to build that bond with his child. There's nothing that we can do as mothers, grandmas, aunties. That's not our place. That's between that child and their father. That's just my opinion. I don't blur the lines. But let's
I
get into some more
agree.
stats here, though. Yeah,
Yes.
because it gets messy, So they say here for our country in America, they said that unfortunately, the reality is that America's prisons are full of fathers separated from their children, which we did say earlier in this show. And of America's roughly 2 million prisoners, there's at least 800,000 of them that are parents or fathers. So that's 92% of the people who are in prison right now are a dad to a child out here that's just one of those 18.3
Wow.
million children that are fatherless. Isn't that crazy?
That is insane. And you said 1 in 4. That's
One in
almost like
four
1 in 4.
child that you see walking around in America does not have a father at home. Every 1 in 4 children that you see. That is a huge amount of kids
It
with no father.
is. And it makes you figure, it makes you think about the whole doubling down. Like, how does that continue to circulate over and over into generational curses, and just like, well, my father wasn't there, so I didn't get to learn this part. Well, mine wasn't there either, so I get to learn this part. And it becomes like this domino effect. And it's just like, well, who is going to step up and learn and teach these young men, about becoming a father, about becoming a provider? Who's going to teach these young women? You want someone who's going to do these things for you. And I wholeheartedly, people are so just like, oh, my boy moms have it so easy. Their sons are just, they love that bond. And the people are like, sometimes we can be a little too soft on
Right.
the boys. And I agree, sometimes because we don't have that masculinity to help
Right.
shape them. So of course we're only going to give them the feminine side, but it's hard. It's hard to give them that masculinity. It's hard to get
Yeah.
them to let them know, like, this is what to expect. This is what your body's going to go through.
And this
um
is why I pose the question to fathers out there who choose not to be in their kids' lives. Why are you choosing to miss out on the football games, the track meets, the volleyball games, the soccer games, the cheerleading competitions, the gymnastic competitions? Why are you choosing to miss out on those moments in their lives that they will never get back? You will never get back. And then if they, once they graduate from high school, they go on to college and they become these professional athletes or professional singers or professionally talented individuals in society, then you want everyone to know that this is your child. I just feel for some of these fathers that are out there, and I'm not speaking to the ones who do their very best, that's there at every game, that's there to support them in and outside of school, that talks to your children every day on the phone. There should never be one day that you don't at least talk to your child on the phone. At least, at the very least. Maybe you can't see them because of distance or time doesn't permit, but at least have a conversation with your child every morning or every evening. Get on a routine so that way you don't go a day without communicating with your children. I don't understand why men are not taking it upon themselves to be proactive to ensure that their child feels supported, secure, and safe by their fathers, whether they're physically in their home or not. You should never, in my opinion, you should never put another woman's family before your own. You should never put your wants before your needs, and your needs should always be your family is safe first. I don't understand like how a lot of men these days are prioritizing their time, how they're prioritizing their family, and how what are they valuing these days? Like what is most important to you? Is it chasing women? Is it taking random I almost said almost said a word that I would have regretted. Is it is it chasing random women on the street? Trying to get the numbers, running the numbers up. Because while you're doing that, your kids are at home wondering why my dad hasn't called. Why didn't my daddy come to my football game or my basketball game or my volleyball game? I told him this last week, or I told him about this last month to give him enough time to be there, and he was a no show. How do you think that makes your child feel? That's what I want to get to. I wish I
I
had a
would
man
love.
that was on here to talk about that. That's a dad, because
I
that's a
do
serious question.
too. I do too. Because listen, like Danny, I kid you not, since the day Carter went to public school, put him in leadership school and he was 6, he went to go over first grade because before then he was in Catholic school. That's when Donuts with Dad started. If we send you a text and we tell you specifically in advance, 2 or 3 weeks in advance, this is when this is going to happen, he don't want muffins with mom. Out of all the years he's been in school, Daddy, we have never ever done muffins with moms. But every year I make sure I do donuts with dad, and it is always me. And after the first 2 times I went, my dad just couldn't go either time. That third year, my dad was like, "Oh, I'm going to go." Well, no offense to my dad, but my Carter at that point he was just like, "Well, no, like I don't want you. Mom's gonna go. My mom's gonna go. She's gonna put a hat on. Mom, don't put your lashes on. Are those
Right,
extensions?"
right.
And I'm like, "Yeah, these are
Aw.
extensions." And he's like, "Put your hat on and put sweats on." He's like, "Come on." It like I show up in my baseball hat and sweatpants, and I
Mhm.
do donuts with dad. And I am not really a great fan of donuts, but I do it because I never want him to feel left out
Right,
ever.
right.
And but I get it, it sucks. And then as the other parent, we you know when he was 6, Oprah, before she went off the air, she did Oprah's master class, and
Mhm.
she talked about absentee fathers. And she told the moms in the audience, never make an excuse for that man. Never make it where it's, you are giving him an out. Because when you do that, as the kid grows older, the resentment not starts with the dad, but it starts with the mom. And
Right.
I never looked at it that way. So from the moment he was 6, I was like, I got to be honest. And she was like, you have to learn how to be honest with that kid
Mhm.
and not say that I'd be like, oh, well, he just don't care. But, let's call and find out why he didn't show up.
Exactly.
Why don't you call him and ask him why he didn't come to this game?
Make him accountable. Yep.
Make him accountable. And I kid you not, since that moment, you know, my son is at a point to where if things happen, for instance, with him getting hurt with the concussion, the second hospital say, oh, it was draining, and it was, so they had to put him in like a medically induced sleep.
Mhm.
So signing paperwork for that is terrifying as a
Yeah.
single mom. I can have all the backup in the world from my parents, but to have to make sure you are signing over life and death rights,
Mhm.
and you don't have that other person to lean on, or that other person to say, I'm here with you, let's sign this, let's take care of this together. It
Mhm.
can be so stressful. And I, before they put him under, I had asked, we FaceTime my parents, and this was just like 4.5 weeks ago. We
Mhm.
FaceTime my parents, and then I asked him, would you like to call your dad or talk to your dad about it? He was like, he rolled over in the hospital bed and said, why?
Oh my gosh.
He's like, he's not going to show up, so there's no need. You're here.
Wow.
At 13,
Mm.
like he understands this situation and how dire it is for him and for his brain to rest, and for him to not even want me to reach out to his other parent. That for me was just like, Tay, you can't force something that neither one wants at this point,
Right.
because
Right.
now he's had so many years of wanting it that now he's like, I don't need it. I'm
Right.
here at this point, and I think I got it from here. And so,
Mm.
as a mom, that's heartbreaking, because I don't ever want to have to make decisions like that alone. But I have no choice.
That's true. That is profound. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and I hope that he's watching this show, but don't come for me. Anyways, so it says kids understand more than we know. They do. They
They
really
do.
do. So I'm gonna play this clip. This is actually with Scrappy, for people who know the rapper Scrappy, and he had a breakdown moment in front of everybody, which really surprised me. Let's see if they'll keep this on the air with us, or are they gonna mute it? Let's
I
see.
just had to cool off, right? Just get my mind right, man, But I really gotta get this off my chest, man. Cameras and all that. I just want to say this. I just want to say this. You and my mama. This is my wife. I don't have nobody if y'all ain't with me. I don't have nobody.
I'm with you. Like,
All that talking, cuz I need y'all to show me, cuz, for real.
okay.
you gotta stop because you don't have nobody, that should make you support this even more. Because you know I want somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even, like I'm in love with this, all this. You know what I'm saying?
And no one's arguing that.
You know why I'm like I am with her?
Because of what you saw me go through. I already know.
No, I saw your lifestyle. I grew up in a whorehouse. I grew up in a trap house.
Yep.
So all I knew was that, you know what I'm saying? And I love you because you held it down and like you did what you had to do. But imagine you never had
child
to,
point of view.
You never had to sleep with your mama 24/7 because you couldn't go in your room.
Okay.
You never had to walk in on my dope.
Yeah.
You never had to walk in on my just you know what I'm saying? The way I was raised, I had to deal with that because everything that happened, I had to deal with that. And I'm still dealing with it because ain't nobody come and take me to give me no help. Ain't nobody got me no help. I learned about that when I got older.
Okay. So do you?
No, this real, cuz like this this in my head, my whole life, in my head. The I go through, I can't even go to her. She hard. I can't go to you hard. So I'm on the concrete. My granddaddy ain't that hard.
Wow.
But guess what? And I ain't taking nothing from you because you put me there. You put money in my you.
All right, before they cut us off. But yeah, so that was pretty deep.
That was deep. Like I was not expecting that.
So that just goes to show you he have to be at least 40 or pushing 40 years old now. That man has probably held that in for all 40 years that he's been on earth until that very moment. Because it had come down to a point of deciding between his wife or his mom. And he wasn't going to choose between them both. He loves both of them equally. But because he lacked his father, right, in his household, the crazy stuff that his mom was doing, it played a significant role in how he treated his women and how he lived his life and the decisions, how he made his decisions about his life. And as you heard him say towards the end, he didn't have anybody to help him. He didn't have a therapist. He didn't have anybody he could go to and talk to about those nights that he was seeing what he saw, right?
Yeah.
And Titan says, I have homeboys like that. Yeah, we all know somebody like that that's battling that. And I played that to show that women, we understand what some of you guys may have gone through, but that still doesn't give you an excuse not to do better and not to make the right decisions in your life. So to ensure that your children don't have to go through what you had to experience in your lifetime. Don't be the abuser after being abused for so many years, right? You at some point in time, you have to be the man to break the cycle. And again, men, if you want your relationships to last longer, you may want to reevaluate and think about, ask these questions to yourself. Who am I as a man? Who am I? Not I get up every day, I put a suit on, I go to work, I make my money, I go home, I deal with her, I take care of my kids. No, who are you? What is it that you want out of your life? What do you desire? What makes you happy? Is it family? Is it money? Is it materialistic things? Identify what it is in your life that defines who you are as a man. Once you're able to find that out, I bet you your communication will be easier between you and anyone, especially the one that you say that you love. You'll be able to express how you feel in that moment. Instead of you guys going weeks and days without talking to each other, you'll be able to tell her on the spot, I don't like the way you're talking to me. I don't like the fact that when I come into the house, you bitching about small things and I just got off work, right? Or maybe find a better way to say it because I'm a little crass. Don't follow me verbatim now. But, you'll be able to communicate with that woman why you're feeling the way you feel. Because the more you hold it in, the more you suppress it, the more that family is just going to rip apart, right? Because now you're going to make her stressed out. She's going to elevate. And if you with a black woman, we're about to act a fool, right? Because sometimes we don't always communicate the best, but we do try. So I just feel like, once a man finds out who he is, what it is that he needs and wants out of life, then he's able to have his family communicate and bond with everybody in a healthy way. But you gotta deal with you first. You have to.
Agree.
And running from woman to woman is not going to answer the problem. You're just gonna create a village behind you with no real leader. That's all you're gonna do.
That's it.
That's my 2 cents.
I agree. I agree. You have to figure out who you are as an individual. And that's even, I tell people all the time, I was selfish. I only thought about me. It was all about, because I grew up so spoiled. But once my son came along, it was literally like, oh my God, like I have this person, this life. And like you said, I always tell people all the time, like that was the greatest gift I think God could have ever given me. Not only did I grow up, not only did I, get become more responsible, but my religious like connection and relationship got so much better. And it was because I had something that I knew at that point I was going to have to do alone, but I knew I had God alongside with me. And so it helped me in so many ways. And with him being there, I always say, like, people always be like, oh, that's my little broke best friend. Yeah, definitely is my little broke best friend. But I'm happy for the things that we've been able to share like with each other. It's an unbreakable bond. It's something that I would never change for the world. um and I think that sometimes, as moms, we have to, um sometimes we gotta be the disciplinarian. It sucks when I gotta be a disciplinarian every day. Cause like I want to be the good parent, like one day. But yeah,
Yeah,
most
it
men.
does suck. But what I will say, especially after having this segment with you tonight, I just thank you so much for your transparency.
Thank
um
you.
all the single moms out there, learn to give yourself grace, because it is not an easy task what you are doing, especially if you're trying to raise a little boy. Okay, I
Yeah.
have a little girl. Oh, and she's little and she is something else. But I can only imagine if I had a little boy too. It's a lot, even with the second parent. So if you're doing it alone, you're a superhero, because it takes a lot of energy, time, dedication, and love. And I'm telling you, you're gonna have good days, gonna have bad days. But for you moms, we all know mothers never get a day off. We just
Never
never get one
365.
day off. We can't even go to the restroom. Okay.
Bro, it's like even at 13. Hey, are
Exactly.
you busy? When are you coming
They just
out?
walk in while you taking a shower, and I just nothing. No privacy.
But listen though, then like, how you said that, you couldn't imagine like going a day without talking to your kids, right? I
Mhm.
can't either. And it's like if I leave to go out, do a girls' night, or if I want to go to dinner, my phone is blowing up and it's, where are you?
Of
When
course.
are you when are you picking me up? what what are
Oh,
you doing? It's that type
right.
of thing. But I love the fact that I go crazy if I don't talk to him. Like while he's in school, we're texting
Yeah.
and all that. So like that part, I think, and maybe one day we could have you could have a segment of men who went through being an absent father, but now was more prevalent in their kids' lives. And maybe it's something that maybe they went through, or something that they felt they didn't have the potential of being, as to what
Yes. That
the
sounds like a
situation.
whole event. Let's do it.
I'm with it.
I'm so for real. We so need this. And I see our community is evolving into something so beautiful. And we're starting to become that village again. It's just taking
Yes,
a few pushes in a certain directions, but we're getting there. People are acknowledging the places where they need to heal the trauma. They're addressing their trauma now. And
yes,
this is the conversation like this right here, what we're having, that needs to be had on a repetitive basis, so that it really starts to sink in. For those who are still trying to shut reality out, we have to, especially as men, you have to address your issues, because once you address them, you can get back to the core of who you really are, and then you can be that leader in your family, not just for your children. Your whole family is depending on you, your mom, your father, in some cases, aunties, uncles, everybody. So once that man finds out who he is, in my book, in the way I think about life, I'm telling you, everything is up from there. So
falls all into place.
yeah, he does.
Trust us, women, we know the answer to everything.
They
So
don't
make
want to hear that. They're gonna be like, "Girl, y'all talk too much," and we do, but we do. We are very spiritually connected too, without even realizing it. So y'all should listen to y'all woman. That's a good point. Listen to me when I send you a cash app request, husband, because I know you watching. You should just respond and sprinkle an extra $50 on top, because you know I'm good for it. Anyways, that's gonna be the conclusion of our show today. Thank you so much for being a special guest. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
yes,
Guys, again, the topic was absent fathers. If you guys watch this clip, this show later on, make sure you comment, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and leave a comment. We want to know, fathers, if you're a father that's struggling with having that relationship with your kids because of the baby mom or ex-wife, let us know and tell us what are some ways that you overcame those challenges, because there's other men out there that need to know how to get a move around this because they want to see their kids, right? And
Definitely.
women, stop doing the most. If he moved on from you and has a new girlfriend, let him be great, please.
Yes. Let him be great. Oh, and let's not forget, women, Father's Day is not for you, okay?
I saw less of that this year.
I
Any
did
other year.
too.
Yeah,
I
I
did
think people
too.
they're starting to realize. Like,
Yes.
please let them have a day. We do men so wrong. But hold on, wait, they do us wrong too. But that's a whole
They
nother
do.
topic. For
They do.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the Sister Style podcast. I will be back on this show on Thursday, and we will have our special guest, Frank Jordan. We'll be talking about why Kyrie Irving should not apologize. I said it. Thank you for tuning in to the Sister Style podcast. We'll see you on Thursday. Have a blessed one. Bye.